The Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida. This is episode 17, a special bonus episode of the Finding Florida podcast on the Florida Podcast Network. We're turning business trips into workations.
We hope you're ready for an adventure.
Welcome to Finding Florida, the podcast that takes you from country to the coast. Join your tour guides, an unlikely pair, city girl Jemmy and country boy Glenn, as they explore the amazing sights and sounds of the Sunshine State.
Last episode, we took a look at the boating life in Florida at the Miami International Boat Show. If you missed it, go back and take a listen to episodes 16A and 16B. Well, one of the other things that Florida is known for is conventions, conferences, all that stuff, and especially where you bring your family along with you to enjoy the theme parks and whatnot. So this month, Glenn and I went to Podfest in Orlando and thought, well, why don't we ask people who are also descending on Podfest how they were turning their Podfest business trips into workations. So come along.
This has to be the biggest state for workations. I don't know if there's ever been a study done for that, but I
don't know either.
You're going to Vegas. You're not going to bring your little tiny kids along, right?
Oh, absolutely not. No,
and
no.
That's the number one convention location. But, other conventions maybe in California and stuff, but Florida is just made for it, whether you're going to the beach.
Especially Orlando.
Or the parks, wherever you're going, there's something to do to bring your family along. So I think this was perfect. This was your idea, and I think it was terrific.
Thank you. I'm patting myself on the back.
So Podfest is the second largest podcasting conference in the world. It happens here in Orlando every year. I've been going to it for probably 5 or 6 years. You're 3 or 4.
My third, yeah.
Third year. So it's grown so much. I mean, it's huge now. And there are so many podcasters from all over the place, but there are also a ton of podcasters from Florida. And we met a lot of them. Mm-hmm. We got to meet a lot of budding podcasters who want to start podcasts in Florida as well. So Podfest is a lot of fun. And podcasters like to talk. So we had a chance to catch up with a couple of them. And before we get to all of them, don't forget the pictures and videos of all our escapades for this episode. We had lots of pictures from this episode. You can want to check them out, including one where we were really high up. You can find them in the show notes at Finding Florida.
I'm glad you added the word up, because
really
half the audience was like, really?
We were really high up.
Really high up, people up.
The party.
One of my favorite parts of this episode is something that I'm just going to tease real quick.
Yeah.
Guys, we found out about, it was the biggest gift we could have gotten. I can't wait for you to hear from Jill and Tyler about what the impact of this show has made for them. I can't wait for people to hear that.
Yeah, we met listeners there too. So it was great. So head to findingfloridapodcast.com for all the pictures. So you'll find it there. Well, it started on a Thursday at 9 a.m. And here is what happened on our workation adventure.
So the amazing thing about podcasting to me is it can capture intimate moments that cannot be captured any other way.
Ran into people that were just starting and really learned the nuts and bolts of how to start a podcast.
So those connections and that network that you build with the fellow attendees here at Podfest is invaluable.
First person that has to be leading this is one of the top podcasters in the state of Florida, and he podcasts about the place that everybody wants to go, and that's Walt Disney World. He's been doing it forever. Yeah, I've met him years ago, and I was so excited. It was like meeting a celebrity, and it's still like meeting a celebrity.
He's so
Lou.
Fantastic.
Lou Mangello.
So nice.
Of WDW Radio. It's one of the longest running podcasts for Walt Disney World. He pretty much knows everything there is to know about that place, and I can't wait to meet him next time we're in Orlando, because he said he'd take us someplace fun. So this is Lou Mangello.
A helicopter might be involved?
Yes,
maybe.
Maybe.
WDW Radio, your information station.
So we have made it here to Podfest, where we are excited to talk to as many of our friends as possible about workations and what they're doing to extend their time here, make it extra fun. And we couldn't have found the more perfect person to start this conversation than our buddy Lou Mangello, who just talks about Orlando and Disney and all the fun things all the time. So you must talk to people all the time who are extending business trips into vacations and making them workations. What's it like for for you to talk to people doing that? What have they talked to you about?
So it's so funny because we as conference goers, we travel throughout the country, the world, and usually our families are like, have a good time, peace out.
See ya.
You tell them that you're going to a conference in Orlando and mommy and the kids are coming, daddy and the kids are coming, and they get to go and play while we, quote unquote, go and work. So it's really interesting to see. A lot of times, sometimes the conference goers are like, can we speed this up? Because I want to go meet my kids in Magic Kingdom. This conference room food is delicious.
Suddenly that starts to take a back seat.
Yeah. You hear a conference in Orlando and all of a sudden it's an excuse.
So what are some of the best tricks for turning a business trip into a workation in Orlando?
So when you say tricks, I don't mean so how do you write this whole thing off for the Irish? That's not what you mean.
Well, if you want to give some of that too, I mean, I'm not going to stop you.
I think from like at Disney a lot of times will offer after 5 park tickets, so your family can go play in the parks or do whatever, and then you can go meet them without having to spend all the money on a park ticket.
Oh, you don't have to buy a full day for yourself.
Exactly.
That's interesting, yeah.
There's also plenty of places that don't require a ticket, so like Disney Springs is a shopping and dining and entertainment area. Clearly, I clearly enjoy the food at Disney.
You caught me, didn't you?
I'm wearing black because I'm
you
hoping that
motioned
it's
towards
slimming.
your midsection. I mean, come on. I'm wearing dark for the same reason.
You have to try out every restaurant.
It's research,
It's
man.
required.
I'm doing
That is a write-off.
It isn't. Shh. I don't want to do it. I have to do it, of course.
Okay, well, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you have one or two favorite Disney restaurants? What are they?
So, believe it or not, my favorite restaurant, not just in the Disney world, but the world, is the Boathouse in Disney Springs.
Oh, yeah.
It is a Gibson.
It's fairly new, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Only a few years. It's right on the water. It's seafood. It's a Gibson steakhouse. Far and away some of the best food I've ever had. There's also a Morimoto Asia down there. There's an Art Smith's Homecoming. I'm famished, so yeah.
We got him started on a topic I think he likes.
So Disney Springs, you just talked about that, and for people coming in, it has grown 3 times what it was 5 years ago. Even.
Yeah.
One of the best Legoland stores you'll ever see.
Yeah.
And you can park. Now, that's the other thing. So for Disney, how important was it making that space that's free to get into so much bigger?
So I think it serves a couple of masters, right? So one, as a local, Disney Springs is our 5th theme park. We spend more time at Springs than we do in some of the other parks because you can just go in, you can wander, you can shop. There's a ton of live entertainment throughout the day and night, and they've also really made it so much more family friendly. So there's attractors for kids, adults, locals, as well as the first-time visitors that now don't have to go to iDrive or Mall of Millennia to go shopping. It's all right there on Disney property.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about what you can do if you have your kids along with you. What if you don't have the kids? It's just you and your honey, your significant other. What's a really great spot to check out on a workation here?
So believe it or not, I'm going to send you back. I would send you to Disney Springs because after your conference, you don't have to rent a park ticket. You can go and wander. There's some wonderful places like to get late night snacks. There's like a wine bar. So there's adult places there. Or I would say to go to Epcot because you can sort of wander the World Showcase. There's 11 different countries. There's always a festival going on. So there's food and wine and flower and garden. They often have the After 5 park tickets as well, and the night with fireworks. And
all our listeners are going to be super shocked to hear that I've actually never been to the Food and Wine Festival. So it's I know it's going to have to happen at some point today. We've talked a lot about Disney Springs, and sadly, this segment is not suddenly sponsored by them. But if you want to learn more about all the other fun things that they can do in Orlando, where can people find you and your show? As if they don't know already.
I'm sure they don't. So everything I do on the Disney side of things is at wdwradio.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lou.
Thank you guys so much. We have to go to Food and Wine and Flower and Garden.
I know. We're suddenly putting a really great list together, guys.
Let's just skip the rest of the conference. You talked me right into it.
We suddenly just turned this into an awesome workation.
Welcome to our world of fun. It's made for you and me. DISNEY is the place to be.
In the lead up to Podfest, we got a lot of reposts, retweets, and all kinds of fun stuff on social media from Stephanie Lahart. She was running the social media for Podfest. And when we finally got to meet her there, we found out that she and her whole family had turned Podfest into a workation. It's actually pretty fascinating how dedicated they are to Disney. You were telling us who's along with you on this trip and what you all have been doing. So please share with our listeners how you've made this Podfest into a workation.
Well, actually, it was my older sister who made it into my workation because I told her I'm going to Orlando to do Podfest, and she immediately said, great, we're going to meet you down there. We're all going to Disney World.
You are not going alone, girl.
No, I have two sisters. I'm the middle child, so I do what I am told. So she was like, oh, we're coming down and we're going to do a sister trip. So my two sisters are like Disney aficionados. So they not only decided they were coming down to meet me here, but they planned the entire trip. So we're doing it like right. I mean, they have every moment of our day scheduled out, every reservation made, every ticket bought, and I'm just like along for the ride.
Oh my gosh. This is exactly what I was predicting.
Yes.
Like, there's so many conventions that happen in Orlando, and it's the hub of like these theme parks and stuff. I bet you everybody who knows their family members going to Orlando on a business trip is like, and so are we.
Yeah. And can I tell you the best part? Like, so I'm working here at the convention, so I didn't have to pay to come here. I'm like, an employee. Everything's paid for it. Well, my sisters, because they're so uber Disney, they have points on everything. They've paid for my entire Disney trip, too. I have to tell you, when we were younger, Disney was our family trip. We did 3 different trips, and it was literally the best time of our lives. Like, my sisters and I, if we look at each other, we'll sing this Disney song. They used to pipe this Disney song. I'll sing it for you. They used to pipe this Disney song through on the TV. It goes, Walt Disney World, it's a brighter day. American apple pie will always stay. Where can you find a child who dreams the dream a whole life through? Where the older folks and the younger folks together share a happy tune. Walt Disney World, It literally was drummed in to our brains. You didn't even know that was going to happen. Oh, yeah. So that's what's happening. I got goosebumps. I'm so excited.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Philadelphia. I currently live in Los Angeles. But yeah, Disney World is where we're all getting together for our family reunion, me and my sisters.
And
I'm
your
very
sisters
excited.
are from where?
They live in Philadelphia still.
Wow.
It's going to be a great time of year to go, too. This is a great time of year to go.
It's perfect. The weather's perfect, everything.
Perfect.
So I'm excited for my, what do you call it, staycation, work vacation?
Workation.
Workation.
So let me ask you, what kind of Mickey ears are you looking forward to the most? Everyone's got to get Mickey ears when they go to Disney.
I am the middle child of 3 sisters. I'm probably have mine already ordered, delivered with my name on them. They like have a bracelet for me.
T-shirts? You have
I'm
family
sure.
T-shirts?
Like I don't even know. I just show up. I mean, that's why I'm actually so good at social media, because I'm really good at like conversations, like listening, and then like making sure like everybody's like on the same page. Like it's been my entire life.
So they give you the schedule, and then you make sure everyone sticks to it.
Yeah. No. Yes.
Okay. So everybody has a favorite park. What's your favorite park?
For Disney World, I don't know because I haven't been there in so long.
Oh,
so can I answer that later? Can I email you guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'd love to know.
I'm probably going to say, so like Disney parks, you mean like the entire parks, like Epcot or whatever?
Yeah.
I'll have to get back to you. I don't even know.
Jemmy, what's your favorite park?
My favorite park, okay, so I have been to Magic Kingdom a lot in the last few years because I have a little child.
Okay.
And so that's my favorite right now because it has, like you, it's been a while since I've been to the other ones. I don't remember I don't think I've ever been to Animal Kingdom. Oh, actually I did for some fireworks years ago, but that was like 15 minutes fireworks when I was gone. That was it. And so we went to Animal Kingdom briefly, the Lodge. So for me to go to anything other than that, I mean, I've been to Epcot briefly, but I haven't really had the full Disney park experience or anything but Magic Kingdom for quite some time. So I'm looking forward to that. You know what, though?
Finding Florida.
Stop it. You know what, though? My son turns 7 on Sunday. He's promised a trip to Universal Studios. So it's not Disney, but I'm going to Universal Studios. So it's been a while since that. I'm checking something off the list.
Okay, what I'm going to do is after my trip, I'm going to send you the itinerary that my sisters developed and stuck me to, and then you guys should repeat it and see if you can keep up.
I don't think so.
Because they're trying to do everything. They're trying to do everything in like 3 days.
All right, let me explain something to you. If anything happens on that trip, you are the one taking him to the ER, not me.
Yes. Okay.
It's hard to do all that in 3 days.
Yeah,
too.
I know. I brought my running shoes, so I'm ready to go.
There you go.
You're going to have a blast. Have a terrific time.
Thank you so much. I'm excited.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Disney World, it's a brighter day. American apple pie will always stay. With little children's laughter, balloons and a big parade. It's a brighter day, a brand new world at Disney World.
Well, I am with good friends of ours for a long time, Tyler and Jill of the Cash Flow Guys podcast. Jill is not a guy, but...
she's not. There's a whole story for that.
So you just told us the most amazing story, and it involves this show that we're doing right now, Finding Florida.
Right.
You told me first that you just are selling everything, you're buying an RV, and you're going on the road.
We are, full-time.
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
Well, because Jill has MS, and her days are numbered as far as her ability to walk and run around and enjoy life and do the stuff. Not that she runs unless something's on fire.
Right.
But... or she's being chased.
But
if she ever wanted to, the opportunity to do that might be limited. So we want to enjoy life now.
Yeah.
We escaped the rat race, and we wanted to do our retirement now, and then we'll figure stuff out later.
So you bought the RV.
Bought the RV.
You bought a big one.
We did.
Well, we started actually listening to your show first.
Right.
And because we know you, Glenn, like you said, we've known you for a while, and we know you. And so we were listening to your show, and we were like, well, hey, this is something we could do. And the more we thought about it, and thought about it, yeah.
Let me clarify that. You were listening to our crazy show, and it motivated you guys to go on a permanent vacation.
Yes. It all started with Disneyland, because Disneyland to me would normally be boring, but you guys made it fun. Yeah. And then you took us there twice.
Do you know that episode just about killed us, the 10 free things to do in one day in Disney World?
I can imagine. I remember you saying that, actually.
We don't recommend it to anybody, except we kind of totally did to everybody on that episode.
It's so amazing. You know, we always say in podcasting, you don't know how you're affecting people.
Right.
We didn't know this till 2 minutes ago, and I don't know what to say.
I'm dumbfounded.
It changed our lives. Yeah.
I am too. Well, if we can change lives for the better, I hope it goes well now. Because
right?
This whole adventure sucks.
We'll do a shout out to you.
Yeah.
Can we come back separately and talk about the divorce?
But I think it's so neat that you guys are going to take what you're doing now on the road.
Yes.
So what you're doing for a living is kind of becoming a permanent workation.
The Cash Flow Roadshow, which is the name of our new podcast.
And what are you going to be doing on the road?
Traveling, enjoying it, having life.
But you're going to do your show, so what's the show going to be?
The show's going to be about how to live on the road, how to support yourself while living on the road full time.
Right.
You know, how to build passive income, how to put systems together that puts money in your pocket so you can travel and enjoy the lifestyle.
And how to empty the dump tank, and how to repair the RV alongside a mountain.
How to find a parking space at Publix when everybody else decided to go there.
Which Walmart's are the best to camp at overnight.
That's right. Yeah. I've already been told I'm not allowed to camp at Walmart. She won't do the Walmart camping thing.
Well,
they're free.
Yeah, I tried that.
Mostly our goal.
Well, you know what? You guys are actually the third couple I've talked to today who is doing this exact same thing.
Really?
Yes, we just spoke with the folks over at Podcasters Toolbox. They're talking about doing the same thing. They're living almost a nomadic life. Natalie Jennings, who did our photo shoot, if you go to findingfloridapodcast.com, you can see her photos. She did an awesome photo shoot a couple years ago, or last year at Podfest or sometime. Anyways, she is living a nomadic life now, too. They're going to rent an RV and do the whole thing. So I think this might actually be a new trend we're discovering right here, right now at Podfest, that people are doing that. They're taking work vacations to a whole new level and turning it into a permanent lifestyle. That's amazing. So your show's going to really, it's perfectly timed.
Absolutely. Perfectly timed.
You should start a show called Finding America.
It's probably not a bad idea.
And then you have to give us 50% of royalties from now on.
That was my idea.
You heard it here first,
clarifying
folks.
that. We have it recorded.
Where's Sean Yester? I need my attorney.
Well, when the Finding America show comes out, but where can they find everything you're already doing?
Cashflowguys.com. If you search Cashflow Guys, you'll get both of us. Actually, will come up. Obviously, I started Cashflow Guys, and oops with the guys part, but if you search that, you'll find content from both of us.
Yes.
And then the Cash Flow Roadshow is going to be our new podcast.
Well, I love it.
Yes. And YouTube channel for that matter.
Can we visit you somewhere?
Yeah, fly on out.
That would be fun.
There you go.
Good luck, guys.
Maybe we could do a destination in Florida together.
Yes. We'll do it. And you can take, you know what? We want to do an RV trip. Maybe you guys have just invited us to be in yours. Here we go. Well, thank you. So it is big enough. Well, you went to that RV show the other day, so I saw some really cool ones. So we're excited to do an RV show. So thank you. It's very humbling for you guys to share that story, and we're excited that you're inspired. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for putting together the content.
Yeah.
It's hard to work with her.
I was going to say the same about you, actually. I've known you.
Ain't that the truth?
You poor woman. Would you like a drink or 5?
Well, I'm about to go on stage, but right after.
That makes public speaking a lot more fun.
I've heard.
Thank you, guys. Flintstone Media has been the digital bedrock of several Florida brands and businesses, serving as a highly resourceful website and podcast production house since 2010. Ready to be seen? Flintstone Media has crafted the online presence for dozens of brands. In creating an intelligently built website that acts as your business's beacon, Flintstone Media will craft solid and attractive content to control your brand's message, collect visitor data, and showcase what you have to offer. Ready to be heard? Work with a leader in Florida's podcasting industry and add a podcast to your brand's content offerings. From setup through recording and distribution, Jemmy will lend her experience producing over 500 episodes and make the process of creating your show simple and easy for you. Visit flintstonemedia.com for website and podcast samples to ignite your digital presence. That's flintstonemedia.com.
This next girl, I am so excited to be introducing the world to. Her name is Izzy Jerome, and she was there with her dad, James, and she was the youngest podcaster at Podfest, 10 years old. Needless to say, she did not go out to howl at the moon with the rest of us for the big party. Instead, her dad did the right thing and took her for some Orlando-based adventures as their workation. So I asked Izzy, I said, listen, why don't you tell us what you enjoyed with your dad while you were in Orlando? And here's what she had to say. And if you want to catch more from Izzy, just check her out at Reporting Live.
Tell us about your time here at Podfest.
Well, I've had a lot of people wanting to interview me, and I want to interview them too. I have a couple interviews set already for the spaces we have.
That's amazing. So do you appreciate yet how there aren't very many children doing what you're doing? Do you appreciate that you're kind of rare?
Yes, because I'm like, I haven't seen any other kids here, so mostly everybody's just stopping.
That's a good clue. Oh my gosh! So you have seen your father do some podcasting, yeah, and so you helped him out a little bit with that. Tell us about that experience working with your dad and how that got you into podcasting.
Well, we did a podcast called Whispers of the Paranormal, and I was just reading stories from people that sent in about their experiences, and I didn't really just like doing that mostly, and I would do the intros.
Was it scary?
Not really.
Oh. I was scared. Oh.
I just told you my ghost story. Was that scary?
Yes.
Fantastic. So you were here with your dad, James. And James, what do you have planned for your time in Orlando to make this business trip into a workation? What are you guys dating into?
I would say it didn't help pulling in last night and seeing those 3 colorful rides right outside
all
the
lit
hotel.
Up neon,
exactly.
Right?
And then she had us pull up on the internet what time they're open till, and midnight is their time. So we'll be going tonight when everyone else is having a great time at Howl at the Moon. We're going to be doing some videoing of us going on these rides.
You are not doing the crazy ride with the chairs that goes around at 100 miles an hour up to about 30 feet high, are you?
Yes.
The look on her face just changed, and I think that's a no.
Crazy chair ride?
Yes, we are.
Oh, my God.
If she makes me go, we're going.
Oh, my gosh. For the record, I wouldn't do that in a million years. So you're not going to take your 10-year-old to Howl at the Moon party tonight? I can't imagine why not. So you guys live in Venice, which is about an hour and a half, 2 hours away. So what are you looking forward to most on your trip to Orlando?
I saw that there was tons of rides, and I want to go on the really high Ferris wheel.
Oh, the big eye? You want to do the eye?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we're going to do that tomorrow, too. That looks like fun.
Yeah. It's better than all the other ones.
Yes.
Are you going to record while you're on it?
Probably.
Yeah, of course. She records everywhere.
You better. I want to hear what you have to say while you're reporting live. So I can't wait. And on that note, everybody else, subscribe now to Reporting Live, which is going to start airing pretty soon. So we're pretty excited to see what you have to say. And Izzy, you are the future of this podcasting space. So your energy fuels us and makes us really excited. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we were right down the street where the convention was right down the street from Icon Orlando 360, or otherwise known as the Orlando Eye. It's the great big Ferris wheel. Everybody sees anytime you come into Orlando. It stands like 500 feet high. It's huge. And we've always been wanting to do it, but Jemmy's always been a wimp about it. So
whatever. No. For the record, it hasn't been a heights thing. It's been a time thing. But
Yes,
this
it
time it was
has.
a heights thing. Oh, my gosh. But we thought this would be a great way to turn our own business trip into a workation for ourselves. So here we got
And we did. We grabbed some podcasters and drug them along.
Ladies and gentlemen, we present Icon Orlando.
Okay, everybody, we are about to get on the Orlando Eye. Jemmy is here, and a whole bunch of podcasters are here. And we have two that have been on an Eye before, and that was in London.
Yeah, the official real eye.
The official real Eye. We're going to meet them as we're up on top, as we're all throwing up. They're going to be cool and calm. So,
Well, Oliver, not so much, but
No.
the look on his face.
I can't deal with heights.
there's about 5 of us that can't deal with heights, so that's good.
Everybody knows me. I really
gotta
can't
go.
do it at
We're
all.
about to find Florida the highway.
Well, this is special correspondent Jemmy calling from London on the Eye. Except I'm not, and I'm just Jemmy doing a terrible British accent because I'm on the Orlando Eye having an amazing time with a bunch of new friends and and old friends, and we are going up, making our slow ascent. And we have, how many of us are in here, guys?
8.
Eight. All right, okay. We'll do a quick round. Names. When I point to you.
Tyler Chef.
Kevin Galang. Ollie McGrath.
And he's from
England.
Yeah.
Mark Shardlow.
England.
That's a real accent, guys.
Gabriel Aloisi from Tampa.
Jill Chef from Tarpon Springs, Florida.
And it's everybody's first time except you guys. How does this compare to London Eye?
Oh, it's very similar actually. I think it's very similar. It's a similar height, a little bit smaller here, but the difference is in London you see history all around, but you don't see an
Big
awful
Ben's
lot.
right there,
you see Big
Parliament
Ben
and all
and
that.
everything. Here you can see for miles, and there's not a lot to see.
Our country is a baby compared to London.
It's
so-
amazing. Yeah.
Oh, look, we can see, though, over there is Disney Springs, and see the hot air balloon at Disney Springs is going up.
Wow.
So we see that. We can see Epcot. We can see, probably if it was clear enough, we could see the castle, which would be to the right of Epcot over there. We could probably see the castle, but it's not quite clear enough.
We've just started. Mm-hmm.
We see the skyline. We see Universal Studios is right over here. So that's right there.
Just started. We've just hit the crest. Now we're going downwards. We're starting our slow.
Oh, no, you got a long way to go, that girl.
I'm telling myself these things, guys. Play along.
So right here we can see Universal. Right there where all the rides are is Universal.
And we are higher than all of the rides.
Yeah.
Do you feel it shaking?
Everybody jump up and down, right?
No, I'm trying my hardest to keep it together.
I'm doing really good to not tinkle.
Who's going to do the King of the World? I think it should be you, Glenn.
Oh, you are the king.
Yes,
you
we are the king of the world.
One of the most successful podcasters on planet Earth. So you are the king of the world.
That's right.
I want to hear it.
What's the line again?
I'm king of the world.
I'm king of the world. Well, while we were at the conference, we did a session, Jemmy and I did, on doing local podcasts. And waiting for us after we were done was Elizabeth and some of her friends from the city of Lakeland. She works in the communications department, and they're doing some podcasts. And it just was perfect, and you'll hear why. So we're so excited that on our next adventure, you heard all about the different people who are doing workations here in Orlando. But just below Orlando is one of the towns that we had so much fun in on one of our cross-country adventures, and that was Lakeland. And we have Elizabeth, who is here from the city of Lakeland. We just met at Podfest. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hello.
So, Elizabeth, Lakeland, we're coming down in a couple of weeks. That's why I wanted to have you on. We're ending with your interview, is because in a couple of weeks, we're coming to, the second largest air show in the world?
Yes, and actually Lakeland Linder International Airport now, they have, I believe, the most air traffic in the world at that time. It may be in the U.S., but it's a big number during the Sun and Fun Air Show.
I do seem to remember that stat from when we were there for checking out the museum and talking to them. They did say it's like the biggest, craziest airspace time in all of the world.
Yes, the most amount of planes taking off and landing at one time.
The air traffic controllers in Orlando must hate this.
Yes, I'm sure.
I have to work overtime. So what fun are we looking forward to at the Sun and Fun Fly? What are we going to see? What are we going to do?
Oh, man. Well, there's always the Blue Angels. They come down and they do their air show. And I
Have you ever seen the Blue Angels?
I've never been to an air show because for some reason I'm super nervous about seeing something tragic happen. I need to get over that, clearly. And I'm assuming I might not be the only one. So if anybody else has a thought like that, like, give me the encouragement to say, okay, these guys are professionals. They're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Go to the air show.
Yes, go to the air show. It's amazing.
It is
and
amazing.
It's funny because I'm not actually... Before I lived in Lakeland, I wasn't even really into air shows. I didn't really care about airplanes. But once I live about a couple miles from Sun and Fun, and so my house, I can see the planes
Is your house
over.
shaking all day?
Yes, all day. You can hear them all day, all over town. But just seeing them, I don't know, it gives you chills just seeing, especially the Blue Angels, because they do such cool maneuvers in the air, but just all the different... hundreds of airplanes, and you can go inside the airplanes and explore, and there's families there that are just having fun with the kids, and then there's, aeronautics experts who are there, and you can tell they really, they just want to know the science of everything, and it's just a huge, diverse group of people, and it's really high energy.
And this gets a ton of visitors.
Yes, a ton, and I wish I knew the number, but it's a ton.
It's a ton. So what else is Lakeland known for?
So Lakeland is... What do we say? It's close to everything, but away from it all. Something like that.
That's the feeling we got, actually.
Yeah. I came from New York City most recently, and so compared to New York City, I saw it as a small town. But now that I've been living there for a few years, I love it because there's a lot to do actually in Lakeland. The artist community is growing. There's tons of parks. There's hiking. There's trails, and there's the Parks and Recreation. Since I do work for the city, the Parks and Recreation department has done an amazing job of even the playgrounds. I have kids, so there's lots of family stuff, but then there's cool little coffee shops and little, I don't know, kind of hipster. There's like a hipster kind of community growing up there too, and the university, Southeastern University, and Florida Southern, and Florida Polytechnic, and even Polk State College. They're all growing. So
obviously we've already done one adventure there. It was part of one, and then we're going to the Sun and Fun Air Show. Mm-hmm. So it sounds from the list you just rattled off, like there is definitely at least a third trip to Lakeland in our future. So what would be maybe if you had to say one or two top things for us to check out in Lakeland that we would just have to go and experience that maybe you can't get anywhere else? What would you say?
Okay, well, I really like the feel of just the downtown area around Munn Park. There's a lot of new little shops. If you like looking at shops and restaurants and stuff like that, just taking a little walk. The downtown's not too big, so you're not going to spend hours and hours, but go around the main little center, and then off of the downtown Munn Park area, there's Legagneur, the Legagneur Promenade. The Frances Langford Promenade at Legagneur. She was a famous actress back in the 30s, I think. But it's got this cool historic architecture and these columns, and it's really, really pretty. You can walk around that lake. There's a couple of restaurants just off that lake that are really good. And then I would just say kind of exploring the downtown. And then if you keep walking, there's Lake Morton, where you can feed the swans. They originally came from Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, wow.
And the original swans of Lakeland.
So is Lakeland a very walkable town? It kind of sounds like it, yeah.
Yes. And then if you want to get more into the little coffee shop, kind of the artsy area, you could actually walk down to Dixieland. I probably would drive, but just because of how the road layout is there. But there's a couple little coffee shops in Dixieland, and there's murals going up. Stop and look at the new murals that are downtown off of South Florida Avenue. And
where can people find it? Is there a website for the city?
Yes, lakelandgov.net.
Lakelandgov.net. Thanks a bunch. We're looking forward to this. It's going to be fun.
Yes, I can't wait to see you guys.
But could we all just wrap it up and go home?
And now it's time for us to wrap our adventure. And this was an interesting time for us because Jemmy and I met at Podfest 2 years ago. This show would not have happened, this Finding Florida podcast, and none of this would have happened had we not met there 2 years ago.
So true.
So we owe it to Chris and to Podfest and to everybody that helps organize that event and run that event for us being one of the most successful travel podcasts in Florida.
And you know what? Now that I think about it, the whole reason you and I are even friends and partners and all that is because I did exactly what we just did. We just shoved microphones into random podcasters' faces. And if you remember, that was what I did the first time I went to Podfest. I shoved a random microphone.
She about tackled me, is the honest to God truth.
So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, especially when it's yourself and 2 years later.
So yeah,
but it was so great.
So for us, it's kind of like an anniversary too of where we first met.
It's true.
Yep.
It's true.
It is. I think we might have had a drink or two to celebrate that. So this is fun for us because we do get to meet podcasters, but a lot of them are from Florida, and there's a lot more action going on in Florida podcasting than I would say probably any other state. It's huge here, and it's getting bigger. It always has been huge, but it for us to get to spend some time and actually do something fun, the Orlando 360 was a lot of fun. It was great.
And the best part of that was that we had listeners. It wasn't just that there were friends and fellow podcasters there. We were getting approached by listeners of this show, all excited to join in or tell us what they loved about the show, that they liked it. It was mind-blowing. And then afterwards, you're like, wait a minute, if this is what this person's telling me, what are other people not telling us? My gosh, it's exciting.
Well,
I mean, we got one so Podfest is a lot of fun for a lot of reasons, including the big party they throw every year. And this year was at Howl at the Moon, and I'm at the bar because, I'm known to be there, and I get a tap on my shoulder from Mark, who was our buddy out of the UK. And he's like, hey, I just want to let you know that this is still blowing my mind. So he was in a day early because they were flying from the UK. And he thought,
Mark and Ollie.
Mark and Ollie. So he's like, we have free day. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? So we started thinking, okay, let me look at who's going to be in town. And that led him to us and then our show and da-da-da. So anyways, he finds Finding Florida and discovers our very first adventure, which was, what was it again, Glenn?
10 free things to do at Disney World using only Disney transportation in one day, and then you die.
It's basically insanity piled on top of insanity. And he did it. He took notes and he repeated our adventure. I mean, come on. It's so cool.
He said it was difficult. It was hard to do. I said, yes, it was. It was. We agree.
10 years onto you, Mark. And then that's about how Glenn felt.
Yeah, exactly.
It was crazy to have. And then to have Jill and Tyler tell us what they shared with us
earlier in the show, and that just, I mean, we both almost teared up when we heard that.
Almost? Are you kidding me? I mean, to know, because I grew up for years. I had a good friend who has, multiple sclerosis, and so to hear Jill tell us that was their motivation was what they are facing in her future, and how our show has influenced that and changed that for them is just powerful, guys. Oh, wow. That was phenomenal.
We always say in podcasting, you never know who's listening, and you don't. You have no idea. And, it's interesting. I've known Tyler and Jill forever, and they never even told me they listened to the show. So, I mean, there you go. I mean, you could have just told us you were listening. We'd appreciate it.
I know. But again, it goes back to who else is out there listening that we don't know about. And yay, actually, that reminds me, if you want to tell us that you're listening, we would love to hear it. Please email us. You can email me, Jemmy, Jaime, at FloridaPodcastNetwork.com, or Glenn, Glenn, at FloridaPodcastNetwork.com. We would love to hear your feedback, your stories. If you're finding your own Florida adventures, that'd be great. And actually, one little thing I'm going to drop here on the fly, one idea that Podfest sprung for us was the idea of perhaps having roaming correspondence. So if you'd like to apply, I'm putting it out there right now to send me an email. Maybe we will consider you to become part of the show every once in a while.
Yeah, I think one of the things, too, that we don't mention enough on this show is that there is a Florida Podcast Network. And one of the things we were doing was meeting with people who are looking at doing local shows in Florida. And we started one of those recently, didn't we? So let's give a plug to her. It just started since we did our last episode.
Yeah. So Suzanne Boyd, who is, she was a longtime news anchor morning at CBS 12 in my town of Palm Beach. I've been following her career for a while, and she is now retired from that segment of her life, and she has now started a podcast with us called People of Palm Beach, and she is just killing it. So she is interviewing people who've really made an impact in some way, shape, or form on the community. And there might be people who are super famous. Like her first one out the gate was James Patterson. You may have heard of him. And then she's also interested in interviewing people who are completely unknown, but yet their impact is still just as incredible. So I'm really excited to see what she's doing with that show. And you can check it out at peopleofpalmbeachpodcast.com.
And there's another one if you go over to the West Coast that you can take a listen to.
Yeah, so we also have Ed and Kim Ryan, who are out of Fort Myers. They have the Beach Talk Radio. They actually do it live. It's a really cool concept. And it's live from a restaurant called Pete's Time Out right there on the beach, the Times Square beach. And they do the show every Saturday. So you can actually watch it on Facebook Live, Saturdays at 9 in the morning. And then they package that as a podcast. So then that ends up on our website later that day and on our feeds. So you can check them out. It's called Beach Talk Radio with Ed and Kim Ryan. And they're a married couple. And let me tell you, they're just as hilarious on mic as they are off mic. I adore them.
So you can go to our Facebook page, just search for Finding Florida Podcast. You'll find some videos we did when we did the Orlando Eye from the very top. And what was really cool for us, too, is...
What was really cool is that I didn't put permanent nail marks in your arm from the very top.
You did really well. Now we're going to see, because next, I'm so excited. We're heading out to the Sun and Fun Fly-In, the second largest air show in the world in Lakeland here in a couple of weeks. And, you did so well on that. I think we're going to jump out of an airplane or something.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Put that thought right back in your head. It's not happening.
Or we're going to get you on a little airplane, something. We're going to something involving airplane.
Air balloon. I will do that.
And that's funny because that's one I don't want to do. I do airplanes all day long, but I just don't do the hot air balloon. I don't know why.
Perhaps I'm being extraordinarily naive. We'll see.
You can find all the pictures, too, from Podfest and from the huge Ferris wheel at findingfloridapodcast.com. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us for this special episode. We appreciate you being here. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with we're going to go last time from the water. We're going to go to the air.
So if you have ideas on where you want us to go next time, just hit us up in our Facebook group, FPN Insiders. You can look us up there and send us whatever ideas you want. But for now,
we found Florida!
And here's to your next Florida adventure.